Omega-3 healthy aging supplement backed by thousands of satisfied customers. Get the benefits of 6 supplements in 1 capsule to support joint, heart and brain health. Take as directed. Read the label. About Health Auckland. Good morning, folks. I'm Duncan, Garner. Great to have you company. Welcome to the podcast. Get involved. Leave a message on TikTok or YouTube. Comes direct to me. Just leave it there. All the details are there. Today, in the middle of a doctor shortage, dozens of graduate doctors from New Zealand med schools have been told they will not be hired. It's incredible. If the government doesn't sort this by 6 p.m. tonight, then they really are as useless as I suspect. We'll also talk to the man who has suspended or frozen the first human body so they can come back in, say, 200 years. It's called cryogenics, and if you wish to live forever, then don't miss this. And Milan Baird, comedian, actor, writer, huge talent and all-round funny guy, said yes to going on Celebrity Treasure Island, so we'll catch up ahead of the show hitting our screens. Why on earth did he do it? I'm asking myself that too. It is news time. Here's a Deputy News Editor from MediaWorks. It is Grace Cocker. A very good morning to you.
A capsized vessel has been towed to shore from Auckland's Manukau Harbour with one person still missing. It ran into trouble last night near Pukitutu Island. A second person on board managed to swim to shore and raise the alarm. Coast Guard says the boat has been handed over to police along with search coordination. Corrections is being urged to better communicate about high-risk prisoners. 5 of the 13 men housed in Auckland Prison's Extreme Unit have stayed there for more than 900 days. Criminal defence lawyer Emma Priest has clients there.
There's a lot of hopelessness. They genuinely believe they may never leave. Having a plan with very clear steps as to things that they need to achieve in order to leave.
A manhunt remains underway following the death of a man in broad daylight in Auckland's Blockhouse Bay at the weekend. Stephen Thorpe died after being attacked near the local tennis club. Police have been going door to door as part of the ongoing homicide investigation. An Israeli hostage freed from Gaza overnight by the IDF was stumbled upon by chance alone in a tunnel. CNN's Jeremy Diamond says he's been reunited with family.
His brother saying today that they had begun to lose hope that he might even emerge from the Gaza Strip alive. He said that the joy he felt was even greater than the joy of seeing a newborn child.
And the Gallagher brothers are burying the hatchet. Noel and Liam from Oasis have announced a comeback tour after 15 years apart, essentially kissing and making up. The British rock band will perform across the UK next year. And in sport, to Formula One, Williams have axed American driver Logan Sargent. New Zealand's Liam Lawson was in the mix to replace him for the rest of the season, but Williams opted for Academy driver Franco Colapinto instead. And world-class lock Eben Etzebeth isn't in the Springboks team to face the All Blacks on Sunday. He's got a back injury but could come back into the 23 for coach Rassie Erasmus.
It's actually, there's some science behind it, so if that's the case, we'll be too happy.
The ABs name their team at 5 p.m. tomorrow. That's news and sport.
Well, that's the good news, Grace, that their best player's not there. He's a menace. Hey, the Oasis.
Yeah,
the
interesting.
Gallagher boys. Yeah, are they coming to New Zealand?
Well, they've only announced their UK plans, but they have said that there will be gigs on other continents.
Yes, which we are not. Well,
and I mean, the thing is, it's such a risk, right? You'd want to get the tickets, see them. They're such an iconic band, but will they make it through every single show? Like, could not be their tour manager at this point. That would be so stressful.
Chaos, wouldn't it? I mean, how long has it been? I mean, it's been
15 odd years.
15 odd years, yeah.
They had that big blow up and just took to the media and hounded each other. They were so mean.
It was good, wasn't it? Hey, did you see cheese is now $20?
Yeah, I saw that, and then I did a wee deep dive though. That's like the bougie, tasty
it's
cheese,
the tasty
right?
Cheese,
the real expensive stuff.
But
you can
headline.
still get some for. I mean, it's a great headline though.
$20.
$20 is still pretty outrageous.
There goes your tax card. Block of cheese.
Duncan, Garner live.
Right, despite the chronic shortage of doctors across New Zealand hospitals, graduating doctors say they've been told not all of them will be placed into jobs, and dozens will miss out. I find this hard to believe. Seriously, you can't make this stuff up. Around 25 junior doctors have been told there are no jobs for them, which has left them bewildered, confused and angry. The young doctors say they're being shut out of the very health system that they have been trained for and expected to work in. They have had no luck putting their case to the Minister Shane Reti and to Health New Zealand. They say the situation is deeply distressing and unnecessary. Isn't it though? I mean, you would think that we train them, we then hire them. What's going on? Andrew Zoll is with the Junior Medical Doctors Association, and he joins us now. Andrew, g'day, nice to have you on.
Kia ora, thanks for having me.
Is this true?
Yes, it's very much true, and it's very distressing indeed. And the issue is actually, it's very simple. New Zealand's in a critical health workforce crisis. We're desperate for doctors. We're trying to train up more doctors, but we're not hiring the ones we do train. So quite distressing, quite counter logic, doesn't make much sense. Happy to talk about it.
Yeah, well, that's why we've got you on. I can't believe it. Is this cost cutting, or is it because there's not enough dollars? I mean, there's a need for them, right? We have a chronic shortage. That's a given, a doctor shortage. You guys have 25 of you ready to go, and they're not being offered jobs. It just doesn't make sense.
Yeah. To clarify, actually, it's likely more than 25. 25 went through the official, what we call ACE application process. So that's the streamlined process for applying for jobs. A lot of our graduates actually don't apply through that process because they know that they're not going to get jobs anyway, just due to the job shortages. So we know that we're short on doctors. We're also somehow short on jobs. Doesn't add up. Whether that's cost cutting, I'm not too sure. I think it's likely largely more due to the fact that there's been successive neglect on the healthcare system from successive governments. So I think it really does call for a need to invest further in our healthcare system.
Yeah. I mean, to me, it's just a shortage of jobs being offered, which means there's no money in the system to offer the jobs. To offer a job, you have to have a budget and have the money. So therefore, does that not make sense that they haven't got the money, haven't got the jobs? It's ridiculous.
It is absolutely ridiculous, especially because New Zealand is solving the problem by importing doctors from other countries like the UK, which again, they're all well-trained and well-qualified doctors, but we're producing our own. We've got many graduates who've been trained for 6 years and hundreds of thousands of dollars of student debt and trained with the New Zealand healthcare system in mind. They're familiar with the health system, they're familiar with the population of New Zealand, familiar with the health demands and demographics of the country. And yet, despite investing all that time and money into their training, they come out on the other side at the finish line and there's no job waiting for them.
Well, what have the authorities, what's the Health Ministry, Health New Zealand said to you? What's the Minister said to you? Because I know you tried to see this off at the past by going to those agencies and that Minister before this. So what do they say?
Yeah, so this has been an issue that's been going on for a while. We've gone to Te Whatu Ora numerous times. This year, we were quite fortunate that we went to Andrew Slater, who was the Chief of Peoples at Te Whatu Ora Health New Zealand, as well as Dr. Shane Leti. And originally, we were actually quite optimistic and enthusiastic. It seemed that we were all on the same page, that we needed to do something to increase the number of jobs to accommodate for our graduating doctors. And yet, disappointingly, we've now reached ourselves in nearly September. All the doctors have been given their jobs, and we've left with 24 doctors who don't have jobs. So it seems that there's been a complete lack of action to change this.
Well, see, why would we train so many if we didn't want to employ so many? It just doesn't make sense. So, the left hand's not talking to the right hand. I reckon it's cost cutting. You know that these DHBs, former DHBs, are $130 million on the poop each. They've got to save $130 million each. This is what it's all about. They don't want to put the money up front, so they're just cutting back on doctors. Simple.
Can't comment on that. Look, it's likely more due to the fact that we've been consistently neglecting in our healthcare system. We got to invest at some point, and successive governments have just refused to invest in our healthcare system and have continued to neglect the issue. So, yeah, could be a bit of cost cutting, could be a bit of lack of funding and lack of investment.
It's all the same thing, I reckon. Yeah, I reckon it's all in the same basket. That money, money, money. What will these doctors do then, Andrew? Where do they go? What do these 24 doctors do? They've worked so hard. They've got the big debt. Now what?
Yeah, so it's actually quite a big issue. They're likely to go overseas, and that's an issue not just for the graduating doctors, but for our current doctors. We've got an estimated 200 junior doctors leaving next year for abroad due to the deteriorating health system in New Zealand. And our graduate doctors, granted there's only 24 of them that's been officially recorded so far, but they want to work and serve these communities. They've been training here. They've invested hundreds of thousands of dollars again, and they've invested 6 years of their lives to train here. They can't afford to just sit around and wait for someone to quit for them to take a job. Yeah. They have to, put food on the table and pay off their debts. So the only option is to go overseas, right?
How behind the scenes of the New Zealand health system, because you've had a good poke around, you've seen in there, obviously as part of the training system and everything, you've worked in these hospitals. How close are we to these hospitals being dangerous for New Zealand patients? Hospitals being of such a poor state and being in such a poor state and being neglected that we are now, our health is in danger by going into these hospitals. What's your take on that?
That's a good question. So as a medical student, we have 3 years of clinical placements, and in our clinical placements, we can see exactly how understaffed our hospitals really are. And the situation is quite dire. We do need to start investing in our health system. We need to do it quickly, and we need to do it seriously. In terms of whether or not there's dangerous patient care, there have been a few articles out there around the country with, ED wait lists that have been excessively long, or staff being called in from different specialties to cover for other services that are in heavy demand but don't have the supply for doctors there yet. So it is quite the situation is quite dire, and it does call for a serious need for action.
Well, just final question, Andrew, and I appreciate your time today and well spoken. What do you want to happen now with these doctors? What do you want the government to come to the table? Do you want some sort of further explanation? What do you want from them?
We want jobs, right? We've produced these doctors. We've invested in training these doctors. There's talk about, from all the politicians about opening new medical schools to train more doctors. What point is there if we're not going to hire the ones that we do train, right?
Yeah.
So we want these doctors to have jobs, and we want there to be sustained change so that these doctors can continue to get jobs. It's not much use if we give them jobs this year, but then next year we take more medical students, we open up a new medical school, and then 5 years later, we find ourselves 80 graduates without jobs. It doesn't make much sense. We want some consistent change that leads to sustainably more doctors in the future.
Yeah, I don't get it. But hey, thank you for your time today and for fronting up. I appreciate it. Good on you, mate.
Cheers, thank you.
Okay, cheers, Andrew.
Duncan Garner, live.
I just facepalm. I just don't get this government. I don't get the Health New Zealand. There are doctors waiting to be employed. We have a chronic shortage of doctors. If you employ them, we have less of a chronic shortage. Does that make sense? 1 + 1 = 2. God, they're useless. Why does it... Oh. Okay, calm yourself down.
3 questions from the Editor-in-Chief.
At number one today, how big is this court ruling to strip the headhunters of $14 million worth of assets? Do not in any way underestimate this decision. It's a colossal blow to the gang's wealth, lifestyle and way of life. It's taken the police an incredible 10 years since the law was passed to achieve this. It's groundbreaking. It strips them of money, property, bikes and other assets, which has been built up over 20 years. From the outside, you could say they've lost everything, but gangs are like cockroaches. They adapt, they survive, they get back up again. Yeah, they get back up again, basically. So how will they come back from this? Police will be watching that really, really closely. They'll be back, though.
2.
Number 2, scumbags. No other word for it. Scumbags, these rubberneckers, who streamed live the pictures of the crash on Auckland Southern Motorway the other day. They should be charged with obstruction or something more serious. Whatever it is, I don't know what it is, but unbelievably, these sickos filmed shots of the deceased and those fighting for their life. How appalling. What dreadful judgment. Imagine if they were your parents or your kids or whatever. Is this what our society's become? What's happened to us? This rampant use of devices is out of control. And without any form of code of morals or whatever, anything goes. Track the sickos down, throw the book at them. But what's happened to us?
3.
Number 3. Oh yes, this is ominous, isn't it? Coming out of South Africa. Is that what is that I hear coming out of South Africa? It's an ominous noise. This is the sound of confidence. The Springbok world champions, who take on the ABs this Sunday, say they've actually got much better since the last outing against the All Blacks. Better, stronger, faster and smarter, they say. Have we got better and smarter and faster? I'm not sure we can say that. Have we got worse or have we got better? Well, I don't know what it is, but let's hope the Springboks are bluffing. God, let's hope so.
Duncan Garner, live.
Yeah, so Peter Tsolakides has just suspended or frozen the first human body with the intention of one day bringing them back to life. Did I just say that? We have suspended the first human bodies. We've frozen the first human body with the intention of bringing them back to life in 200 years' time. The technology is not there yet and may never be, but Peter says someone has to be first to start the process, and his Southern Cryogenics clinic in Australia has boldly taken the first step. Are you alarmed? Are you confused? Are you freaked out by this? I was a little bit. I spoke to Peter and I started by asking him, what's exactly going on here?
I'm involved with Cryonics. And let me just explain what cryonics is. That's the preservation of a patient after legal death at very low temperatures, normally in liquid nitrogen. And the expectation is that we restore them using future medical technology in the far future to a patient which is healthy and in a young body.
So have you frozen a body before, or is this the first time you're looking at it, you're doing it?
We've been in operation, well, not in operation. We started for 10 years. It's taking us 10 years to get to where we are because we had to put a lot of the facility and the infrastructure together. We've had a lot of training during that time. We've worked with overseas organizations. We've got close cooperation. What we've done is this is the first patient, exactly as you said. The first patient was in May this year. We only, in fact, opened our doors officially in February this year. So our first patient was in May.
Okay, and what's this? The person who died? Can you tell us anything about them?
Not very much. We can tell you they're elderly. They were in their 80s, and they were in Sydney. As I said, we're very open about almost everything except for the private information about our patients and our members.
Okay, so effectively, he requested to be the first. So he's on ice. He's now frozen.
He's in liquid nitrogen. We call it suspension. It's much colder than ice.
Yes.
Ice is only 0 degrees. This is minus 190 degrees centigrade. So
And silly question, but it's better than making a stupid mistake. But so where is he?
Where is he? We have a facility in Holbrook. It's about halfway between Melbourne and Sydney in Australia, near a major town there called Albury. And he's at that facility in one of these, what they call cryostats. They're like very large vacuum flasks, which basically keep liquid nitrogen, which keep the temperature very low because it's filled with liquid nitrogen. So that's where that patient currently is.
Okay, so he's in suspension. And how long is he expected to be there? And what was he hoping might be achieved in the years ahead? Because the technology is not there now to restart him, as you like, to bring him back to life.
No,
so what's the
very
aim?
Very clearly, we offer no guarantees. The technology to suspend somebody is not too bad. I mean, it's not 100%, but it's pretty good if done properly. The technology to bring somebody back to life is not yet available. We're hoping, as I mentioned, for future technology. We're actually more than hoping, we're expecting future technology in science advances, medical, computer advances to be able to bring that patient back to life. Now, the whole idea of that patient is that they passed away from a disease, a major disease. What they're hoping for is to come back in the future, as we said, in a young, healthy body and be able to live their life again in that time in the future. And we're talking, look, many people have different, nobody knows, but many people have different estimates. My estimate, if you want to take it with a grain of salt, is somewhere between 200, 250 years. It'll be.
Right, so this gentleman will be suspended for that amount of time, 200 odd years. I mean, if you do get to that stage where you can bring him back to life, so he'll be 200 years on the liquid nitrogen, and then you get him, then he comes to life. Somehow you restart this guy. You grab like a car, you grab the keys, and you do all your work, and he comes back to life. What does he do? Just sit up and ready to go again? How does it work?
That's the idea, and if you ask me how you do it, I don't know. No. I mean, it's like asking me 200 years ago, how does an iPhone work? How does a smartphone work? I don't know. All we know now is that there's a lot of early technologies available that show that this is possible in the future. The work being done in just curing diseases. I mean, obviously, one of the things you have to do is cure his disease. The work being done in cell restructuring, well, there's a whole lot of areas. I guess I could go through them all, but medical research, brain preservation techniques, curing aging, hypothermic medicine, cloning, synthetic limbs, sophisticated prosthetics. I can go through nanotechnology. There's a whole lot, and we can discuss each of them at length. But what we see now is the start of something that may be possible in 200 years.
Oh, it's incredible. And you've got to be ambitious, and you've got to be hopeful, and you've got to keep thinking, and you've got to keep evolving, and that's what you're doing, and which I think is amazing. Are you available for an interview in a couple of hundred years if this happens? Because you'll be available. Because are you going to go?
Of course, if it happens. And again, we don't give guarantees. There's different probabilities that people put on it. But as somebody said, it's far better than the alternative. The alternative is 0 probability. We have some probability, some reasonable probability. And yes, I'd be available. If this happens, I'd be available.
Well, me too.
In fact, it'll be, if this happens, by the way, it'll be nothing new at that time. It'll be old hat type stuff by the time we get revived.
What do the experts say that are here today? Because they don't know what's around tomorrow. We have no idea. We have no idea what happens tomorrow. And that's the great thing about life. We have no idea, which is the reason why you'd probably want to be suspended, because who knows what it's going to be like. So what are they saying today about future technologies to restart the body?
Well, there's a whole range of experts in this area. Some say, I'll be honest, some say it's impossible. And one of the normal reasons why they say it's impossible, because, and my background science too, you tend to think in 5-year, 20-year timeframes when you're a scientist. You don't tend to think 200 years, so you tend to say impossible. I remember in one interview, they asked a scientist, impossible, the scientist answered, impossible. And then they said, you mean impossible in 200 years' time? And the answer was, well, never say never. In better words, I really can't tell you what's possible. What they do know is that, as I said before, there's a lot of technologies now that if you extrapolate them out, it makes it possible. There's a lot of technologies available now that work that way.
Well, remember AIDS in the 80s, and it was such a scare factor, AIDS, and it was going to wipe us out and kill us. Now, of course, there's a simple medicine that you take and it prolongs your life, and you can live a very healthy and full life. That's evolving. That evolves. So health and research and medicine, it all evolves. And I probably think, without knowing anything, that it probably can be done. But who knows when and who knows how? But there'll be someone. There'll be someone. I mean, life is a long thing. It's not done, as you say, in 20, 30, 100 years.
Agree with you. Agree with you completely. We tend to feel that, yes, it can be done in the future. Again, no guarantees, but we strongly believe, based on the current science, medical advances and all the rest, not based on just some faith idea.
Yes.
I want to make that clear.
Stay away from that.
We are basing it on a whole lot of various scientific advances that we're hoping will get there.
What do people tell you? So the people that want to be frozen, why do they want to be frozen? What do they tell you?
Many, many different reasons. Everybody, and if I asked you, you'd probably, if you were interested, you'd probably have a different reason. A lot of them, let me give you a demographic of who the people are. Basically, they're optimists about the future. Secondly, most of them are involved in science. They may not be in science themselves, but they have a link. They're very interested in science, in technology, computer aspects. They're non-religious. I mean, if I can say that, not very religious. And 80% are men, just to give you a demographic. 80% men, 20% women is the rough demographic.
And that interests me. The men think they want to last forever. They want to be here forever. They're needed. They want to be here. Someone must need us. I wonder why it's men that predominantly want to be around.
Well, just to give you an answer that mostly women tend to say, I'm generalizing here. Please remember, I'm generalizing. But basically, women are more relationship orientated, and the answer normally given to women is, I wouldn't know anybody in the future. I wouldn't have the network of people that I know. I wouldn't know my family. I wouldn't know people. With men, the answer is basically, how much does it cost and will it work?
Yes, that's my next question.
And I'm generalizing, of course, because we have, let me phrase it a little, that 20% of women that we do have are in fact more passionate about it than that 80% of the men. So on average, the women may be a smaller number, but a lot of them are a lot more passionate and a lot more interested in it than the men.
I fear death. I don't like the idea of it. I don't like the idea of not being around to see my kids, grow and be a part of all their lives and experience. And I really have a fear of missing out, FOMO.
Well,
and so this really interests me. It genuinely really interests me. And I wonder, what would it cost?
Well, the cost and, the number's going to be, wow, that's a lot. It's $150,000. Okay, that is a lot. But normally, most people pay through life insurance. And life insurance, if taken at about the average age, costs you, in Australian dollars, costs you something like about $400, $300 to $400 a year. So we're talking, look, it's that proverbial cup of coffee a day that everybody tends to quote. But that's about what the cost is. Cost of about $400 a year. And that covers you through life insurance, a policy that covers you for $150,000, $200,000.
Okay, but who pays when I'm dead then? So who pays in the 200 years that I'm on ice?
Well, basically what happens is, of that $150,000, and I'm doing this very broadly,
yes, of
that $150,000, about $30,000 is used to actually suspend you, the actual suspension. The $120,000 is, in a sense, put aside in a trust, and we earn interest after inflation. You can work it out after inflation, and you earn something like $3,000-$4,000 a year after inflation. The main cost that we have, in fact, it's almost the only cost. There's a few overheads spread out, but basically it's liquid nitrogen. All you really need is liquid nitrogen, and the cost of that is about, inflation adjusted, about $2,000 odd a year per patient. So basically, you're covered through that amount of money that's put aside.
Right. Oh, see, we've got an electricity and gas crisis here in New Zealand, so maybe it couldn't happen here. Maybe we'd have to go to Australia to do it.
Yeah, but don't forget, you don't need electricity.
What do you need? You just need the gas. You just need the product.
Liquid nitrogen.
Yeah.
And liquid nitrogen is delivered. I mean, assuming the whole electric grid could break down for 2 months and we still wouldn't need it.
Really? Wow. I think we've got
liquid nitrogen is, how petrol is delivered in a petrol tanker?
Yes.
Essentially, liquid nitrogen, top up the tank, in a sense, every 2 weeks, whatever it may be, and that's it. You don't, as I said, the hardest part, I'll go back a little bit. The hardest part is the patient at the hospital bed to get them to the facility. That is the real critical, and that's handled by a sister organisation called CryoPart.
And what's your time frame? How long have you got?
we've got a race against time.
Yeah.
And what we're trying to do is the brain, once it passes away, because this is always after legal death, let's remember, after legal death, the brain starts deteriorating. But it deteriorates at room temperature about 3 to 5 minutes. But our job is to try to get it down to, get the temperature down. So then we've got to about ice type temperature. It's about ice type temperature. Then we've got almost a day. Then we do other procedures and we bring the temperature down to dry ice, which is about minus 80 degrees. And now we've got 2 weeks. Then we take them to the facility. This is a week of procedures in all this, but we take them to the facility. They're put in liquid nitrogen, and they're essentially got hundreds of years in liquid nitrogen. So there is a deterioration. The quicker we can get to the patient, so we have a method where we wait at the hospital bed, and the idea is to keep dropping the temperature, so we always expand the time before there's any deterioration.
So these people don't have funerals, do they?
I'm sorry?
These people don't have funerals then?
Not really, no. I mean, they can have a service, but not necessarily a funeral. In fact, you can have a funeral, you can set things up to have a funeral, but it just adds a complication and slows things down.
What happens, so let's say they work this out, and remarkably, in 300 years, let's say, that this fellow wakes up and he's let loose back into society. What does he look like? Who does he mix with? What does he see? What sort of technology is around? Is he just an absolute outsider that cannot survive in that environment in 300 years? He doesn't have the skills or the language or whatever.
It's possible. It's possible. There's a whole lot of ideas here, and I'm going to branch out in a whole lot of different areas, but there's a whole lot of ideas. First of all, what he looks like is how he wants to look like, because obviously the idea is to give a new body, as I said, a young, healthy body. He can look like what he looked like when he was 25 years old, or he can look however he wants to look. That's not, and people, it's amazing. Here's the amazing part. People always go, wow, a new body. And I'm saying we're bringing back a brain, which is 1,000,000 times more difficult than growing a body, which can be grown now.
Yeah.
If legally possible, you can clone a body tomorrow if you really wanted to. And we're talking about a brain. So the body is the easy part. Now he's in a society. We honestly don't even know what the society is going to be like. What we do know is that by the time our people start coming back, cryonics is a fairly normal process, because don't forget, we're in a time period when it's not so normal, but in future times, if it's possible, what will happen is there'll be systems around at that time to be able to allow people to adapt back into the society. That's our thinking. But if you ask me 200 years ago, what would the world be like now? I couldn't tell you, and I can't really tell you what it's going to be like in 200 years.
Yeah, well, if you listen to the climate change people, we won't get to that point, so it's all irrelevant. But hey, it's been great speaking to you. You're a wonderful idea. Brilliant. What's the point of life? Well, the point of life is to stay alive as long as possible, in my view. So this is brilliant.
I agree. You should stay alive as long as possible, and we're only in there as an insurance policy if you don't, if something catches up with you.
Good idea.
Stay alive. That's our main motto. I agree.
Okay, mate. Thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it. Well said.
Thank you. Thanks. Take care of yourself.
Duncan Garner, live.
All right, Peter there. Forrester, there must be some feedback on this one. I just can't open my thing at the moment.
Yes, that's right.
Yeah.
Isaac. Oh,
yes,
no.
go for it.
Isaac
We'll take
Forrester.
a look here.
Oh, you guys look good together there.
Thanks, man.
I mean, first things first.
Yeah.
What? Keeping yourself alive?
People are just questioning whether it's a scam or whether it's, legitimate. And what I have to say on this is, I think it comes across like very much about how he portrays it. Is he being honest? He's being pretty honest in this interview. He was saying,
he just didn't know how to do it.
Says, we don't know how to do it. It might not work, but at least he's not saying
in 200 years it could.
Golden pill, like it's gonna fucking work. It's gonna,
But who in the end? So the brain goes into someone else's body, right? And then that person comes back. You can walk past your family; they don't recognise you.
This is what I'm not sure about, though. What I'm not sure is, do they transplant your brain, or do they just revive, in a sense, your body?
No,
which means
you'll be 80 years old.
Oh, that's what I was going to say. Would you be walking around in
you
an
come
80-year-old
back in
body?
Jonas, or not Jonah. You come back as Christian Cullen, but with my brain.
Yeah, perfect.
Which doesn't make it any better.
Unstoppable, some would say.
Yeah. Okay, thanks for the feedback on that one. Okay, as you know, I'm on this year's season of Celebrity Treasure Island, but there were others, 17 others, and one midlife tragic who, like me, said yes to going on. This is comedian, writer, actor, general good guy, Milan Baird. How nervous are you now, mate? Just days away from the launch of this whole thing. What have we said? What the hell were you thinking? Nice to see you, mate.
Good to see
Shall I
you.
come and give you a hug because I haven't seen you?
Yeah.
Just a man hug for you, Sam.
There we go.
Good on you, mate. Yeah.
I'll get down in the old shithouse crouch for you.
There we go. That's a man hug. Because, we've spent a bit of time together. We can't say how much, of course, because it's all secret. But it's well known we were on the island now, yeah?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not sure what we can say, really, but...
Should we just stare at each other?
Yeah.
Why did you do it? So take yourself back. When they got hold of you and said, we want you to do Celebrity Treasure Island.
Well, I got called about 2 days before they were about to...
Oh, you were last on?
Last on board. To head away. So...
afterthought.
I think they were... I think 40 people said no, so they said, let's get the skinny guy in the green suit. But I had the morning to decide, and luckily my wife had done it in 2022.
Oh, yeah.
And so I said to her, should I do it? And she said, you got to do it. It's a oncer.
Yeah. But that's what people said to me too.
Yeah.
See, I got the email and didn't reply for days. I said, this will just go away, hopefully. I just wanted it to go away. I thought just send the invite away. I didn't want to take part in it. I thought, I can't do this. It's not me, did I?
Yeah.
And I'd always look down my nose a bit at reality TV. I thought, this is below me. Or I don't know why. How stupidly I thought that.
Yeah, I think I have too. And like, because, being an actor, I'm used to playing characters. But on this show, you can't escape,
your character's yourself.
Not being yourself. It's... so it's
a buddy.
Yeah, it took me. I was umming and ahhing, and then just thought, no, let's just do it. And it's one of the best decisions I think I've ever made.
Why do you say that? For me too, as well. But and we can't say how long we were there for and that sort of thing. So that's all. It's a given that we got there anyway. We started the whole thing.
Yeah,
it's meeting all these strangers, but they're not strangers, are they? They're sort of people in your life that you kind of know.
People that you've. There's famous people, and then you meet them in the flesh, and you're like, oh wow, you are a real person.
Like Christian Cullen.
What
a great guy.
Grew up. What a guy.
Yeah.
Grew up watching him. When I say grew up, I'm older than him. I was the second oldest on the island.
You were the oldest, weren't you?
Yeah.
Well, who was the oldest?
Suzanne Paul.
Oh, Suzanne Paul, of course.
Yeah. But meeting him in the flesh, and like it's a crazy experiment. This show, isn't it? It's but for me, it kind of came at the perfect time.
You had some time to do it.
Well, I'd been a stay-at-home dad for a wee while, cooped up, and then finally released into the wild.
You couldn't wait to get out. You couldn't wait to get out.
Beautiful place, no phones, just trying to stay alive till the next morning.
And that's interesting. You say that no phones, because so no one had any phones. You see, so no one had any access to the outside world, and we're so used to phones, and they just control our lives that suddenly we're all in this spot. And you have to get on. You've got to talk to people. You have to stay and talk to people.
You do, yeah.
You literally have to communicate outside of a phone, and it's actually quite an eye-opener for some people.
Yeah.
To be a human being.
Yeah, it was. Did you find it struggle in the first sort of day? Or?
I really did. The first few days, found it really hard because I wonder my son's doing. What's he up to? And he'd had a bit of trouble at school, so I wanted to just touch base with him, and I couldn't. I just couldn't. I stood on the edge of the cliff a couple of times, going, I wonder how he is. And just had a few moments.
Yeah, I mean, being a stay-at-home dad, I was quite enjoying being away from the kids. And
yes, they sent me a note saying they're pleased to see you go too. And the dog.
Yeah, but I mean, Siobhan said to me, hey, because I said, what was your strategy? She said, look, just have fun and avoid all dramas.
Yeah. I
was like, wow, she's some kind of unicorn, She was in alliances she didn't even know she was in. People are just drawn to her. So she shimmied her way through the...
Well, I'd never watched the program. Had a quick look at it before I went away. And I sort of played as I see it. But people said to me, get alliances, be nice to everyone, be friendly, be giving, be helpful, be a camp dad, all that sort of thing. So I just tried to be a decent guy.
I have to say, man, from what I saw, you're a hell of an outdoors man. You like getting out there, and
we sort of had to, didn't we?
Yeah.
So it screens Monday the 9th.
Yes.
Of September.
Yes.
7:30 on Channel 2.
Yes, that's correct. I believe.
Are you? Yeah, that's no secret. That one. Are you nervous about how you'll be portrayed? Have you seen anything nasty?
Well, it was a little while back, but I'm a bit nervous about how it's going to come across.
I know. Did I put the boot into anyone?
Yeah. Yeah.
And the other thing is that because they're filming all the time, you don't know what they're filming, what a crew. What a brilliantly produced, organised. Yeah. It's what a beast of a crew, isn't it?
Yeah, it was. And those interviews, how'd you find those interviews? Like, putting it in the right tents for the
that's all interesting, isn't it?
audience. You know?
Yes, it is really demanding.
Yeah.
But they work so hard, the long hours, all day, all night, all night.
How'd you find the food, the beans and the rice?
Oh, yeah. Shit, it was delicious.
Yeah.
I mean, it's so variable, you know. One day it's beans and rice, the next day beans and rice.
Yeah.
And then next day rice. Well, I tried
guru,
to.
Yeah.
What? Because I chucked in some salt.
Did you sneak anything on there?
Pardon? Next question.
Did you sneak anything?
I'm asking the questions.
Oh, you're right.
No, but I didn't take any salt on. But I noticed there was salt in our kit when we got there. Someone had taken some. Did you guys?
I think a couple of people did.
Yeah. I found some rosemary. That was quite handy.
Yeah. Actually, I had a big sachet of coffee that.
Did you?
I was going to take on, but I couldn't get it down my pants. So I just decided
I think there'd be room down there.
Yeah.
I mean, those sticks that those legs. What do you call them? The flying javelins.
The javelins, yeah.
Starvation
on stilts, they used to call.
I knew of you before I went on the island, but I didn't know you, and I'm so glad I did because you're a very funny, laconic, smart guy.
Oh, appreciate it, mate.
Yeah.
Back at you.
Yeah, and we've kept in touch.
We've kept in touch. Yeah,
just for sanity reasons.
Yeah, it was interesting, sort of. Leaving that place.
Yeah, it was. And generically, we all leave together.
Yeah.
But leaving that place, it's kind of weird coming back into the real world because, how relevant is the real world when you've been sort of living, in the bush? Because we're sleeping on, on a sack.
Yeah.
And there's no windows or anything.
No walls.
Were you cold and hungry at times?
Yeah, hell yeah, all the time. No walls on the huts, barriers to communication, But once I got back, because when I was there, I couldn't wait to get off. But once I was back, I was like, there was a strange pull of wanting to go back, and I think it was the simplicity. We all just got to go away to this island, meet some people, and just be a kid again. It was a bit like that, wasn't it?
Well, good to see you, mate.
Yeah, good to see you, man.
Yeah, Monday the 9th, 7:30 on Channel 2. And I will just, and we've got a premiere before then. We have a little sneak peek, don't we? Before then,
a couple of Milos.
Yeah.
And then. Into it.
All right, mate, I better move on. Nice to see you, okay?
Yeah, nice to see you, man.
Yeah, take care. Good to see you, Millsy.
It's the Slam Dunk.
Good guy, and along with Christian Cullen too. Yeah, I know Christian Cullen. Right, this horrific crash on Auckland Southern motorway this week is obviously going to have all sorts of consequences and ramifications down the track. Firstly, 3 families have lost loved ones. Others are fighting for their lives. And the truck driver must also be going through hell, absolute hell. And the major questions I have are likely similar to what the police questions will be, although they may have better inside knowledge about medium barriers and how much do they really know about those wire barriers, and are our authorities sitting on the worst kept secret that they've known all along for years, that these barriers can't stop trucks. What do they know? What did they road test when they put them in? And did they ever tell us anything? Something's not right. I always assumed that driving that route, when I drove that route down the motorway, that those barriers were there to stop anything crossing in front of you. Wrong. I heard that entirely wrong. What did the cops and the transport officials think that these barriers were capable of? This has huge ramifications. That medium barrier, that strip barrier with the wire, you see this all over New Zealand now. We've installed these things everywhere to cost hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars, knowing full well they can take the impact of a car, but they're no good if a big truck comes roaring at it. What's the answer? What's the official answer? Did we know that? What are they designed to do? What have we been told? Have officials and the police been waiting for this moment, knowing only too well it was coming? That we'd cut corners, we'd cut budgets, we rolled out the cheapest version, only now to have this awful scenario play out. Did they know this? Were they warned about it? If these barriers can't take the impact of a truck, then what do we do now? Replace them all at what cost? What's the point of them? Or do we just leave them there and cross our fingers that nothing crosses in front of us and the truck stays over there? Surely officials, before deciding to roll these safety barriers out right around the country, tested it, and it must have come with some kind of impact rating. What was it? What's the truth? And what's the future of these, wire cheese kind of barriers? Are we safe? At least tell us what these barriers are designed for and capable of, so we can make our own decisions accordingly. And at the same time, change the rules around cell phone use and accidents, making it a crime to film the carnage and the mess and the deceased. It is such poor taste. We've got used to this sort of stuff. We take our phones everywhere and we film everything. We've got to do better than this. What sort of society have we become? It is appalling judgment. It's appalling judgment. Filming, live streaming dead bodies and the injured. What if that was your family, your mum or dad? I'm astounded of how low we go and what people will look at these days. But that there is content, apparently. Appalling.
Duncan Garner, live.
Yeah, what do you guys think? What do you think of that? About that? Putting out your phone. You wouldn't do it. Tell me you wouldn't do it.
It's a very terrifying first reaction for some people, isn't it? Instead of to go for help, it's to pull out your phone and to start videoing. Yeah,
maybe they didn't know how bad it was.
I mean, it was pretty apparent,
you're
right?
filming a dead body. You've got to know what.
You think it's sick, Forrester?
Oh, absolutely. I think it's absolutely cooked. People were saying on those median barriers as well that they just cause congestion.
Yeah, but what are they designed for? If they don't hold a truck, then are we assuming that they do and they don't, and therefore we're not safe?
You're talking about these concrete
the cheese cutter, no, the cheese cutter ones,
the wire ones.
Yeah, so we think that it's a medium barrier.
Super dangerous for motorcycles as well.
But have we installed billions of dollars of these things around the country, knowing that they don't take a truck?
It must be a cost-saving thing, eh?
Of course it is.
Because otherwise you put in a heavier barrier. Right?
Of course it is. You know, though, in saying that, they do save lives. They save the car crossing the lane, but not the truck.
Not the truck.
And there's more trucks now on the roads, and they're bigger than ever. Do we have to pull them down and start again? Those are just the questions to ask.
I think perhaps maybe just a better evaluation of where they're needed, and some of the high-risk areas, and replacing those with some higher spec ones.
There were dozens of deaths along Centennial Highway. This is north of Wellington for decades, right?
Yeah.
And that terrible road north of Pukeroa Bay there. Then they put in the cheese cutter for 15 years. Cheese cutter.
Yeah.
Not one death.
Right.
Wow.
So they worked in that instance, but not now. Not down the southern motorway.
Yeah.
Right, that's us, folks. Thanks for tuning in to cheese. $20. Do you think $20 is too much for cheese?
Oh man.
Did you see that story?
Yeah, it's kind of ridiculous.
$20.
I know.
These goes your tax cut.
I know. Like Forrester and I, particularly, we
cutting back on cheese
for the last wee while. We've been interns, and so we're not anymore, thankfully. But we definitely we were getting paid slightly less because we were on an intern wage, which is fine. We
were the smartest guys in the building.
Oh, thank you very much.
Hey, when I was an intern at TVNZ, I took home $260 a week.
Yeah.
This is in 1995.
Yeah. We're probably.
Checks out plus inflation.
Yeah.
no, just
$260 a week.
So no, we got more than that. But then to go to the supermarket and want to buy cheese and it's $20.
Yeah,
you kind of go. Ooh.
Yeah, no, you hold back on the cheese.
Yeah.
Right, that's us. Duncan Garner, Editor-in-Chief Live, brought to you by Lester's Oil, the premium New Zealand-made fish oil supplement, backed by a good study. Support joint, heart, and brain health. Use the code Duncan for 10% off. AboutHealth.co.nz. Take as directed. Read the label. About Health Auckland. 0800 999 309. Now, if you ring that number right now, 0800 999 309, and say the word Duncan, bang, you got yourself 10% off. I'm not sure if you could say it 2 times, if 20%, 3 times, 30%, but I don't think it works like that. That's not the deal we struck. So just ring them. This stuff works. I'm no longer bandaging my knee to walk because the joints are better, so it must be doing something. That's us. This will be available as a podcast on Rover very, very shortly, or wherever you get your podcast. Thanks for your feedback and your support. I'm Duncan at rover.nz to my team. Isaac, thank you very much, sir. A former intern. Forrester, former intern. You guys are the biggest brains here, alongside Zarina. Thank you so much. We'll do this all again tomorrow. Remember, no dress rehearsal, no curtain raiser. You're living it. You're living in the now, so go and enjoy it. Take care, folks.
That was Duncan Garner, Editor-in-Chief Live. Missed something on the live stream? Text Duncan to 3598 to listen back on the podcast. Want to get in touch? Call 0800 863 293.